Alright, welcome to my video on entering Adam's 100 subscriber giveaway. Today we are going to congratulate Adam on reaching 100 subscribers on his YouTube channel, and then we are going to talk about the process of how I select locks for picking and how I research locks, how I explore the locks once they arrive, and how I pick them. And then in the end, we will talk about how I organize locks and how I document my picking process. First, I would like to congratulate Adam on reaching 100 subscribers on his YouTube channel. Now he was working towards 300 subscribers as we speak. So congratulations, Adam. Great work. You asked for some videos on how people approach new locks, and I made this video, structured it into a presentation format for you. Adam's channel is available under the Comp Guy at the Comp Guy on YouTube. It's a fun lockpicking channel. I discovered it a month ago, I believe, and he started off with very simple locks and worked his way all the way to purple belt locks, which are high security locks. His videos are very inspirational to me, and I like to watch them on a day-to-day basis. He's very active in the community, and he likes to leave comments on the videos, so hopefully he'll leave one here as well. When it comes to lockpicking, I like to do my research on the internet, starting off by visiting the LPU Belt Explorer, found under lpubelts.com. This is a database of sorted locks, ranging from white belt locks up to black belt locks. White belt locks are simpler 4-pin pin tumbler locks that don't have any security pins, while on the other hand, black belt locks are ultra high security locks, which have a lock system that can contain multiple locking mechanisms. On YouTube, I like to research some channels. There are many channels out there that do picking certain type of locks, such as Adam Harris's channel. So once I selected a lock, I like to check how people pick them, how they approach these locks first. And I also like to ask the community what they think about a certain lock. And for this video, I selected 5 to 6 locks, I believe, and I picked 2 of them for this video. Now, in order to pick a lock, you have to first buy it, of course, or borrow it from someone. So there are 3 locations that I like to visit to buy locks. First is my local locksmith, who I haven't visited since I reached Yellow Belt. And then we have Amazon. Amazon offers some great locks, up to even Purple Belt. The problem is that high security locks on Amazon cost a fortune sometimes. It's not uncommon to find locks that cost several €100 even. Same goes for eBay. So it's a good idea to maybe approach some people who already picked a lock and got bored of it, and they might offer it for sale. So the LPU Discord channel's Lock Bazaar is a great place to start off. On Amazon, you can get some cheaper locks if you can find people who resell them. There are sometimes sales on Amazon. I've ordered, I believe, half of my locks from Amazon, and I've owned pretty much 50 locks right now. I like to order a variety of the same lock. So when it comes to the ABUS 7240 or Lolo locks in general, I looked for 3 manufacturers, ABUS, CASP, and the American lock. I wanted to originally pick an American lock for my green belt. But as I picked the American lock, I didn't find it any different from the other locks that I picked for orange belt. I mean, serrated pins are nice and everything, but the keyway didn't feel any challenging or anything like that, so I decided to instead submit a CASP lock, which has an S-shaped paracentric keyway and required a special type of pick to get it open. To give you a better chance of picking a lock, it's a good idea to order more than one if you have the money for it. There are different challenges posed to you when it comes to keyway that you're dealing with, or the bidding that one lock can offer. So the bidding is something that is kind of a gamble, basically. The keyway is a gamble when it comes to it. Unfortunately, many people don't make a photo of the keyway on Amazon, especially. So you can end up with an ABUS keyway, for example, or with a Yale style keyway on the same lock, which is kind of strange. Now, I also like to look for smaller versions of the same lock. So there are locks that come in different sizes and shapes. So, for example, there's a lock that can come in 20 millimeters and 20 millimeters wide, and can go up to even 70 millimeters. There are also sometimes older versions of the same lock, or updates, or different versions of the same lock that I like to explore, just see what the differences are. And clones, they're definitely clones. So when it comes to the American lock, we have many clones out there. I tried the 3 different manufacturers, the CASP, the ABUS. I believe Master Lock also has a Lodo, the 68 series. So once we ordered our lock, we just basically wait for it to arrive and hope that it arrives in one piece and with all the keys that were in the description. And once the lock has arrived and unpacked, I like to select a pick that I can use to navigate inside without getting stuck in the warding. And for the tension tool, I like to select one that can actually stick in the entrance of the keyway so it doesn't fall out when I start picking the lock, depending whether it's a top of the keyway or bottom of the keyway. It's a good idea to select the right width and right wideness of the tension tool. Make sure that it doesn't lock up the core. The first thing that I do is, without tensioning, I move to the back of the keyway and check each pin as they fall down using a zipping technique. And as I zip, I count the number of pins. The shape of the keyway is also something interesting to look at right from the beginning. If we are dealing with an S-shaped keyway, we have multiple entrances that we can use to pick the lock. So normally in an S-shaped keyway, the bottom of the keyway, if it's free, we can go in with a deep hook and try to pick the back pins if they are high cut. And the low cuts at the start could be picked with a short hook or with a shallow hook. Now, to figure out the navigation inside the lock, I like to use this term atomic motion, which helps me figure out how much movement I need to move from one pin to the other without accidentally oversetting a pin. There are 3 stages of the pin that I like to first investigate, see what it's like. So the first one is springiness. If a pin is not ready to bind, it's a non-binding pin, and it just stays springy all the time. So you can just basically move on to the next pin. If it's loose, it means that it's set. And if you don't remember setting it, it could either be a 0 lift pin or basically a pin that you accidentally set. If the pin is mushy, it means you accidentally overset a pin as you navigate inside the lock. This means you have to let go of the tension a little bit, let those set pins fall down, and then start over. I also like to draw guides on my lock picks and also in front of the keyway to check for a false set in case I miss it. So drawing a guide on the pick helps me in figuring out how deep I am inside the lock. This is very useful in many cases when dealing with a new type of lock or with a new lock. For the front of the keyway, you can draw a straight line that goes across the core and the lock body. And once we reach a false set or we get counter movement, you can see how the core separates those lines. When we try and set a spool, we can see how the 2 lines try to join, and when they are both joined, we basically set the the pin. It's a fun little play that I like to do, especially on the ABUS 7240 locks. It never ceases to entertain me. Now, to get a false set in a lock is a great achievement in my opinion. So when I try out multiple locks, I should try to open them, and I can't get them open in the first 10 minutes. If I get a false set, I put them on the side and then come back to them later, maybe on the same day. Or reaching a false set is a sign of progress. It means the lock is about to open. I just have to undown the straggling pins that are binding. I also like to create a lockpick map using paper and pen. I just draw the key that I'm dealing with, and I also try to figure out the binding order on paper as I pick the lock. That helps me to get a reliable way of picking a lock. When dealing with crazy bidding or evil keyways, I like to first categorize the keyway that I'm dealing with. I distinguish three types: slightly paracentric keyways, S-shaped paracentric keyways, and evil keyways. There are special considerations in these cases, and first I have to figure out the tensioning, what type of tensioning I'm going to use. Maybe I need to use top of the keyway tensioning, which is in most cases for ABUS locks and Yale locks, or maybe bottom of the keyway tensioning, if I can somehow find enough space in the top. Or maybe I need to use both. Maybe the bidding is so hard that I might need to vary between top of the keyway tensioning and bottom of the keyway tensioning. So there's that. The direction of the tensioning for cylinders can be varied, so we could either pick it clockwise or counterclockwise. That's an option. Then a second thing that we have to consider when selecting the tensioning method is navigation. So sometimes we could see pins blocking the front of the keyway if they are very high cut. In that case, we might have to resort to all sorts of tricks. For example, before tensioning the lock, we can use the pick to pick the pin halfway, and then as we pick it, we raise the tension a little bit and try to set that blocking pin that way, if it's binding, of course. If it's not, if it's a zero lift of some sort, then we need to find a way around that pin. And for that, we can use more narrow picks, such as the 0.4 millimeter picks. Those are the 50 tau picks for those of you from the USA. And all you do is just basically you angle your pick towards the warding, and you try to slide by the pins. You either slide below or on the side. And once you avoided all the binding pins, you can center back your pick and then try and pick the pins that are behind the zero lift pin or the blocking pin. For this, you can use a deep hook, of course, a very narrow one, as I mentioned. What I like to use are the Mokeys, Mokey deep hooks, sometimes even multi-pick or Lockmaster, and those usually do the job, so there's no real struggle there, unless there are multiple low and high cuts in the way, then the situation gets a little bit complicated. It's almost like surgery, but it has to be done somehow, right? Now, what happens if you think you picked all the pins, but the lock hasn't opened yet? What do we do next? So, you can do the following. You can poke around the keyway with a feeler pick. Those are the ones that you use to open tubular locks. That's what I like to use in that case. Make sure you don't overset something. You check if there are any other pins on the side or on the bottom that need picking. Definitely check the bitting of the key. Maybe you overset something. Maybe there are pins in weird places. Take apart lock, see what's inside. Check for zero lift pins. For that, you can basically just pull out the core, if you can, of course, and empty the pin stacks. And then try to rebuild the pins by using the key pin and the driver pin. Place them on top of each other inside the core and see how they touch the shear line, how much motion is needed in order to set that certain pin. Counter milling is something I haven't really dealt with so far. I have a couple of locks with counter milling, but I couldn't open them so far. There are two types that I know about. There might be more. So one is the one that has a slightly cut core, where on the top you have a sleeved part, and that part basically works as an obstacle. So when the lock is tensioned, the barrel pins or the gin pins or the Christmas tree pins just basically get stuck in that counter milling or in that sleeve. One other tool that you can use is try and progressively pin your way towards a victory. So basically you remove some pins from the back, you reduce your 6-pin lock into a 4-pin lock, maybe a 3-pin lock. And this is a good way of learning about the pins that are inside the lock. So figure out the 3 stages that we talked about. So springiness, what happens when they are set, how much force is needed in order to set the pin. Definitely a fun little thing that you can do with your lock. In some cases, and I believe last couple of weeks, I had trouble picking very small and narrow keyways for dimple locks. The ABUS EC75 required me to file down a Chinese pick and use that custom pick to open said locks. Thankfully, Chinese picks are very cheap, so you can mess up all you want and try from the beginning. It's of course a laborious task, filing down a pick and using that pick to open a lock, but it's a fun process and it's part of lockpicking, so I don't shy away from such methods. This is something I haven't tried, getting an endoscope and a small flashlight, but I heard that people, when doing competitions, lockpick competitions, they like to use endoscopes and small flashlights to figure out a particular lock, see if there's any nastiness in the mechanics. You can also try and reconstruct a pin stack using a practice lock. So if you get a basic idea of what's inside the lock, you did your research, you saw some gutting photos or videos of the lock, you can try and rebuild the same thing using a practice lock. Now, of course, you can do that if the lock has counter milling in it. You would have to basically reconstruct the lock, which is not so practical. Might as well just keep picking the lock right. Another thing I like to do is organize my locks a little bit differently. So if I manage to pick a lock very fast, I have a box which I use to put inside these easier locks, and I call them comfy locks. Something I comfortably pick in my leisure time or when I need some confidence boost. And I also have a naughty bucket. The idea is coming from Bosnian Bill, basically. I have a drawer where I put my naughty locks, which cause me a bit of trouble. I also put locks in there which I haven't explored yet. Those I also consider naughty until I got to know them. Anyways, don't give up. Keep it up. Keep picking locks. It's a fun hobby. Well, most of the time, right? It's okay to spend hours on figuring out the lock. I even spend sometimes days, multiple evenings on a single lock and try and get it picked. Don't trade or sell your naughty or nemesis locks. Really, just keep them. Once you open them, they can be so satisfying. So I think I opened like 3 or 4 of these, and those have given me such a big confidence boost when I managed to get them open. Sometimes I get the same from opening a lock that I always wanted to open, something that I deconstructed, so something that I got from my old home or old office or something like that, and I figured out how to open it myself at home. I put it into the drawer, and it becomes my new comfy lock, basically. So this is something I can definitely recommend. Keep your naughty locks. Don't sell your nemesis locks. Keep them around and keep at them. I mean, at some point they will give up, right? Make sure you record your successes. So once you open a high security lock or something that you've had trouble with, it's a good idea to record your successes. I normally keep an Excel sheet with all the locks that I've picked. Mostly all the locks that I picked, I believe. And I have screenshots of the picks. I have some notes on how I open them, even some tips on how to open them, the tools that I used. It's a fun little thing to have, and it's a good reminder. If you, for some reason, forget how to pick a certain lock, you could come back to it in a couple of months or weeks. People's schedules are weird. Um, this note will still be there, and I can look up all those locks that caused me trouble in the past. And I'm pretty sure that if I pick those locks up again, I would bump into the same trouble. And why not just keep those records? We'll read up on those locks and try to open them again. Anyways, check out Adam Harris's channel on YouTube. It's at the Comp Guy, and he has some fun little videos there. And I'm hoping that my giveaway video will not be too late. I promised him to make this video like weeks ago, and I still had a webcam on the way. I didn't know how to edit videos, so I had to read up on all that and do my research before I could complete this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. This has been Wolfgang from Vienna.